Hi, Felttube. It's Jeannie again, and I am back because I wanted to show you my almost finish of the Rocket Ship Santa stocking for my son-in-law. And I did make some changes to it, and I haven't, the only thing I don't have done is I haven't sewn the back on yet, because I wanted to show you how I did the lining, and it's just easier to show it to you before I sew the back on. So that's really all I have left to do. I did make some changes on this stocking, and I made a few, and there's Kitty. I did make a few mistakes that I'll point out, and then also I really wish I would have taken notes, because the whole time I was making this, there were things like, oh, I should say this in the video. I should, just kind of helpful hints, if you will. But I so enjoy putting these stockings together. And so this one, I made one for my cats 3 years. I made one every year for the last 3 years. I made one for my granddaughter last year, and now this one for my son-in-law this year, and then I have a new grandbaby on the way, so I'll be making one for her. Get down, Kitty. I'll be making one for her next year. I like to start these, and generally what I do is I start them in July. It's kind of my Christmas in July start, so I will go ahead and start them in July and then try to have them done by Christmas. And so we're about a week and a half out from Christmas, so, and it won't take me too long to sew the backing on, but maybe an hour or so. So I'll probably be working on that this week in the evenings, and then get it done. And I may bring it back to show you once it's completely done. But like I said, I wanted to show you the lining and how I've done it the last few stockings that I've made. And the stockings don't come with a lining, but I do like to put one on, simply because if you don't, then all of your stitching is exposed on the inside, and with this felt applique you have some longer stitches and knots and things, and so it's just nice to cover it to protect it. So because these get use, right? Your hands are, you're putting things in them, your hands are going in and out, and didn't want them to, you just don't like things to get caught. Now so I'll talk about that when I get to it, but this is the preview of what the stocking was supposed to look like. And I made a few little changes, and I chose this one for my son-in-law because he's a retired military, but he has a civilian job in the space industry out here. We live very, very close to SpaceX. So, and he has it's actually still a government job, but he's a civilian now. And so since he works in the space industry, I thought this one would be perfect for him. So let me show you what I did. So here, and I didn't make too many changes, but I decided, just starting at the top, I decided not to put his name on the stocking. I decided to do a name tag that will go on the little stocking hang tag when I sew it all together. So this is the little name tag that I made, and I just did a beaded hanger, which I did for my granddaughter too, and then did a little lining on the back so you couldn't see the stitches on the back there. So that'll go on as soon as I sew this part. Let me scoot it down a little bit more. This is the stocking hang tag, and this will go onto the backing, and then this will be, I'll put that on when I'm doing that. So, anyway, so what I did is I just created more of the little sequins and stars that were on other parts of the stocking, and I just filled that in on the top. And I think it turned out really cute. Another change that I made is all these little kind of pearly beads that you see for the individual stars. Those were supposed to be French knots. And I am not crazy about doing French knots. I'll do them if I have to. But I decided to do, because these stockings are so sequined and beaded, I decided to just use beads. And so I use these little kind of pearly white beads that I did for the hanger. That's what I used for the individual the individual, don't kitty, don't bite that piece. That's what I did for the individual stars. And then the rest of this is pretty much as charted on the kit. One thing that I did do is I did do a little bit, my satin stitch on his eyebrows just looked terrible. And I don't know why. Some of my satin stitching looks great. Some of it looks terrible. I don't know. But I went ahead and did an outline stitch around his eyebrows. That's how the eyes are done. And I just did that to sort of clean it up, and I think it looks okay. I did tack, his arm was supposed to be loose, but I did go ahead and tack it down because it kept flipping out, and I was afraid it would get caught on things and maybe get pulled off, so I just tacked it down at this little candy cane, just for that. And then the other thing I did the deer just as charted, except for I forgot to put the pupils in. Those are French knots, the pupils in Santa, but I forgot to put them. I got so busy sewing things together that I forgot to put them on, and I guess I still could go well, I got the lining on now, but I could have done it, but like I said, I'm not great at French knots, and I was afraid they would look weird, and I think they look perfectly cute with just the little black pupils. And so so I left those off because I forgot about them. So moving down the stocking, I will say on this kit, I ran out of the white sequins, and I was like halfway through sequining this this little white lining of the rocket ship, and I ran out, and I tried to borrow from another kit. And from the other kit, they weren't the same. They had a different sheen to them, or a different finish. These are almost a little iridescent, the ones in this kit, and the other ones were just a flat white. They didn't have the iridescence, and definitely would have shown, I probably could have gotten away with it on some of the other places. It would have been fine if they weren't really close. But like I said, I think I had gotten to about here, and so I had this much to go, and I thought if they're not the same, you're going to be able to see it. So I just emailed Plaid, and they were wonderful. I just sent a quick email, like a day later. They said, we'll send you some out. I just went to their customer service. I put the number of the kit and what I ran out of, and they said it could be up to 14 days before they get mailed. I was a little bit worried, but I got them like in a week. So, so I was able to finish it all out with the regular, or the sequins that came with the kit. So, yeah, so I didn't really do anything different. I guess one of the things that I did differently on the rocket ship is that it called for the outline stitch with like 4 strands of embroidery floss. So you can see it's a little bit thicker here. It called for that here too, because I do not like using 4 strands for the outline stitch. I fight with it, you know, just, the thread had bubbles in it, all of that kind of stuff, and I just was over it. So I did this in the 4 strands, and then I just did 2 strands for the rest of it. The other thing is there is some metallic thread. I don't know if you can see there is some metallic thread in there. That was like trying to stitch with wire. You guys, it was terrible, but I do think it adds to the stocking, so I did make it work. Don't look at it too closely. It's not very neat, but I did do it. I did use it, but I probably would sub it out for maybe a Krynic or something a little bit easier floss to use in the future if there's metallic floss in a kit that I do. The other thing I did do with these big stars, this is just a straight, let me see if I'm in camera. These are a straight stitch, and so I did do a little tack down stitch in the center of each of these, just so they weren't going to be as easy to snag moving forward. So, yeah, so that is a change that I made as well. I did do this stocking out of order too, simply because when I ran out of the white sequins, I wanted to keep working on the stocking. And basically on these stockings, the instructions will tell you pretty much to work from the top down. And so I got to a point where I couldn't really do any more on the rocket ship. So I went ahead and moved down and did this planet down here. It's completely separate. You sew it up completely separate from the stocking, and then you tack it on. And so I was able to go ahead and continue to work on that. And also these presents and the little parachutes. I was able to work on those too while I was waiting on the, there's a goober. While I was waiting on my white sequins, I was able to work on other parts of the stocking, which was really helpful. Let's see what else I did add. It did not call for sequins in the middle of the bows, but I went ahead and put those in because I thought they needed it. It also didn't call for you to stuff the parachutes like yours. They do have, they're also separate pieces. They have backs on them. I'll show you when I turn it over. But I thought, gosh, out of everything on the stocking, the parachutes need to be puffy, right, to look like they have air in them. So I did go ahead and stuff the parachutes. One of the other things that I noticed with the kit is there's little dots in the printing that show you where to put the sequins. And on this little side engine of the rocket, it only had sequins like on the bottom, and it did not have them outlining the whole thing. But if you look at the picture, you do put the sequence all the way around. So I didn't figure that out till I really had it all put together. And then I was like, no, it really looks like it needs that. So I did add that on. That was just an error that I noticed on the stocking. The other thing that I did a little bit differently is it called to make cording for the parachute strings. And I did cording on this one. It kind of came unraveled a little bit, but I did make the cording on this one. And then you guys, on this one, I used pearl cotton. It's only a 2-strand cording. It's not very thick. And I thought, gosh, I have some thicker pearl cording or pearl, pearl cotton floss. And so that's what I used here. And I actually think it looks better. So I'll probably store that away if and when it asks for cording like this. I am a little bit concerned about this, these parts that are hanging off the edge. I mean, this could easily get snagged and get pulled and things. So I don't know. I'm just sort of planning that this is going to need some repair down the road because that's going to be pretty fragile right there. But yeah. But otherwise, that is the front of the stocking. I think it turned out really, really cute. And then, like I said, I've got my tag to go on, but let me show you how I line them. And this wasn't my idea. And please, you guys, ignore the cat hair. I haven't used the hair remover on this yet. So there's probably a half a pound of cat hair in these. It really likes to stick to the felt. But basically what I do is, I got this tip from Jennifer Good, and I'll link her in the show notes, is that she just makes takes a copy of the back of the stocking and then just sews it completely on. So this is sewn closed. So this is just completely over the stitching. You can see I didn't cut it quite big enough on this side, and so I still have a little bit of exposed stitching, but this is what the whole back would look like if you didn't put a lining on it. So there's lots of different ways to do a lining. In fact, I just watched Christine Calico MZ. She just finished up a really cute stocking for her dog, and she does a cotton, quilting cotton lining, and I would love to do that sometime, because you can actually pull those out so you could repair the stocking or wash it, just wash the lining if it gets melted chocolate in it or something like that. This will be much trickier to do that with, but I am not in a situation right now where I can leave my sewing machine set up, and so it's always just such a big to-do to get my sewing machine out that to me, just to be able to hand sew the whole thing right now for this season of my life, I hope when I retire in about a year and a half, I will be able to really refurbish my craft area and make it so that I can keep a sewing machine set up. But right now it's just not practical for our setup. But anyway, so that's how I do it. I will caution you to be careful on these parts that overhang, you don't want to show your stitching here, and that's easy to do when you are tacking down these little pieces, like to come all the way through. So you have to be kind of careful with that. And again, you can see on this side, I do have a knot here because that's how I had to attach the pearl cotton. Kitty, he keeps biting it. But otherwise, you know, you want to be kind of careful with that, and everything. But that lining then protects the stocking. And then let me, excuse my reach, I do have the backing here, and so I probably will go ahead and iron this a little bit and then get this sewed on. And of course with the blue, I will attach the loop to the back, and I will not sew up the top, right? So it is actually a stocking. So that's what it'll look like when it's done. But I really wanted to show you how I did the lining. And so anyway, so that is my my stocking for my son-in-law, Zach. And I'm really glad that I am going to get it done for Christmas. Oh my gosh, this cat. I'm really glad I'm going to get it done for Christmas, and I really enjoyed making it, and I'll have one more to make, another one to make next year for my new grandbaby. Haven't picked that one yet, but of course I'll talk about it when I get it done. And I'll put my kitty in the frame here, and or when I make that decision. And like I said, I'll probably go ahead and start that one like for Christmas in July in 2026, and get that made for her. So so anyway, so that is my I'm gonna say finish on my stocking. Like I said, I may show it again when it's completely finished, like maybe in my next Flosstube or something. I want to do a Flosstube for, I didn't get the wedding sampler done, you guys. I'm still, that thing is the bane of my existence, but that's gonna be one of my New Year's revolutions, is to get their wedding sampler done. And then I plan to start a baby sampler for my new little grandbaby. I'm gonna start that. That might be my my new year, new start. I also plan to I want to start a few of my horse projects. 2026 is the year of the horse. It's for the Chinese New Year, and I have a bunch of horse kits and patterns that I want to do. So I may do that too, but I'll talk more about that in my next Flosstube. But if you have any specific questions about this kit, or doing a Bucilla stocking, please feel free to reach out. I am a plaid ambassador, and these are really, really fun to do. So in fact, I enjoy them. So if you have any questions about it, please let me know. And otherwise, I will talk to you soon in a Flosstube. Take care. Bye.